All right, well, welcome to Meetings with Success. My name is Dee Dee, and I'm going to be teaching this fantastic lesson on meetings and having a lot of fun with it. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's get started. Our objectives today, what will we be covering? How to run an effective meeting and how to be productive with that meeting, and some rules of parliamentary procedure. And that can kind of sound intimidating, but really it's just meeting management. There's simple courtesy things that we need to keep in mind when we're running a meeting so that it flows nicely. All right, so what we're going to do first is think about what meetings you've already participated now that you've been in LTC, okay? It could be something at your townhouses, right? You had your townhouse meeting. What other kind of meetings did we have so far at LTC?
Our color group meeting.
You had a color group meeting, all right.
I was going to say color group meeting.
What other meetings have we had? Think about outside the color group. Yes.
Didn't we have a fire drill meeting preparation?
We did have a fire drill meeting, right? We all met on the field. We learned how to evacuate our townhouses and where to meet. That's right. So think about the purpose and the objectives of those meetings, all right? Was it to give you information, disseminate information, or was it to gather information? Thank you very much. All right, so the purpose of your meetings, when you go into a meeting, we want to keep that clear, and based on that is how you will run your meeting, all right? What kind of meetings do you attend at school? What kind of meetings do you have at school? Yes?
My student council meetings.
All right, student council?
Team meetings before games.
All right, so athletes, sporting events, or clubs, yes?
Meeting during advisory.
All right, so just maybe a smaller meeting. So you have, think about how many people are attending. You have large groups, you have small groups, all right? We're going to be talking about what's effective and why it's effective, or maybe not so effective. So I think we're going to be moving right along, and we're going to play a game. This is called the agenda game, and in 4-2 of your handbooks, you can take out the meeting agenda. I have extras, and I'm going to put you in groups of 3 or 4, so this can be a group, and this can be a group, and what you're going to do is you need to kind of rip or cut out each of the sections, and you're going to, with your group members, place the pieces in order, all right? Place the items on the agenda. So this is an agenda that's all mixed up, so your goal is to take each and every piece of it and put it in order, all right, with your group members. Okay.
All these have to be good?
Whoa, some creative ripping here. All right, so the answer is there's no true answer, okay?
We should have known that.
Because depending upon your council, your needs, who's present, you may have to tweak it. So having said that, I still want to hear, well, let's compare what each group came up with, all right? So if I can have a volunteer from our first group, what was the first item on your agenda?
Call to order.
And your agenda?
Call to order.
Call to order, all right, yeah. Agreement there, all right? And number 2.
Roll call.
Roll call.
All right.
Announcements.
We have the minutes of the last meeting.
Okay, so right here, we have our first discrepancy. We have announcements and we have
Minutes from the last
minutes. Now, where did you put your announcements?
Right at the end.
Right at the end. And where did you put your minutes?
Right after announcements.
Okay, now is there a reason why you put your announcements where you put it? Yeah.
I feel like this is a weird correlation. I feel like I put the announcements in the beginning because at church, like you always like say the announcements in the beginning before you start everything else. So I felt like this was the same way.
Okay, and where I go to church, we have it at the end of the, so again, it really depends upon the culture of your school or, the needs of your councils, all right? So you can have it at the end, you can have it at the beginning, it's okay. All right, so you have minutes next?
Yeah.
Okay, and you had
President.
president's report, and then you had,
President's.
okay, so now we're back on the same wavelength, all right? So we have the president's report, next.
Vice President's report.
Same.
Vice president's report,
Treasurer report.
Same.
all right?
Committee report.
Same. We must have all went to LTC.
Advisors report.
Yep.
Unfinished business.
Yeah.
New business.
Yeah.
Adjournment.
And then we have announcement and adjournment.
All right. Now, do remember that all of this is covered in the LTC handbook, all right? So a lot of what the content of today's class, what we're covering with this activity and other things we're going to be talking about, we have a lot of information right there in your handbook. So that's something that you can take home with you, and if you're not sure, if you want to reference it later, it's always available. So well done on your agenda. Okay. All right, so agendas. When I came down here, before I even got in my car, I went on Google Maps and I printed out the directions to come down to Holy Cross. I did that because I don't always rely, I have a GPS in my car, but I've known not to rely on that technology because that's not always accurate for a number of reasons. So I had my paper version and then I had the tech version. And that's kind of the same thinking that we should have when we're going into meetings. You need to have a plan, all right? You need to know what your obstacles might be, any roadblocks that you might have along the way, who you're going to be up against, so that you can prepare for that meeting. So that's okay. So what we're going to do now is, remember that the agenda is so important. So my GPS helped me get here. Your agendas will help you get to your destination, which is planning an awesome meeting that's effective, that uses your time well, and that hits everything you need to hit. So it means putting the agenda together, getting it out to everyone in advance. If I had the GPS or if I had that Google map after I came here, wouldn't do me much good. So you want to get that in the hands of your officers as well as the members as soon as possible. And that goes with the minutes too. And formal meeting agenda is on 4/2. So again, that is, I'm not sure if that followed with the announcements at the beginning or towards the end. I know that this group actually was referencing that, right? But it could be tweaked. All right, I think we're ready for the next slide. So we have here some clips. It's kind of a fun way of looking at meetings and thinking about what can go wrong, what can go right, and maybe you've even seen something like this when you were in council. All right, so let's hear and see our first meeting.
All right, everyone, we're about to begin our weekly meeting. Please sit still and quiet down. Well, glad to see everyone's happy to be here. Let's discuss last week's meeting. The behavior exhibited, well, it was deplorable.
What, we were too loud? You don't like us to say what we think? Yeah, you never let us talk.
It's not her fault. You guys are idiots. She's strict because she has to be. Yeah.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is not how you run a meeting. Let's rewind.
All right, so what were some of the things that went wrong with that meeting? Besides the obvious, and people strangling each other's necks? Yes?
I feel like she didn't establish a very like positive tone from the beginning. She
Mhm.
kind of came in there with an attitude and it just went all downhill from there.
All right, so the president kind of sets the tone, all right? Anything else? Yes?
There was no established structure at the meeting, they just started talking.
All right. No organization, no pre-planning, no structure to the actual meeting itself. All right, anything else? Yes?
And then the purpose wasn't established, like why they were even coming to it.
Very good. You're good. What group is this? What letter group? Color group are you?
Green.
Aqua. Green, oh, aqua, all right. What are some of the things that can go wrong at meetings in addition to what you saw there? Let's say there's supposed to be 50 people at that meeting. Attendance is big. Did they know about it? Was it last minute? Were they informed? Is it something that happens the first week, the first Friday of every month? You know, is there an established date for each and every meeting? So attendance is important, control, agenda, people talking out of turn. All right, so all of this feeds into a poorly run meeting. All right, let's see some more.
Number 1, your organization, your meeting. This is a perfect platform for meetings which can be as formal or informal as your organization.
Hey guys, how's it going? Let's get this show on the road with minutes from our last week's meeting and then new updates from our secretary, Hillary.
All right, so right there, she establishes purpose and an organization. There's an agenda on the
See,
backboard.
wasn't that much better?
All right, going to move right along.
Good.
Okay, this is the one that needs to be fixed.
Right, but this part two.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah, but
It's not money.
What we do is we have a slump.
We'll just move on.
Number 3, advisors are important.
I'd like to remind everyone that Campus Life Night is coming up very soon, and we need to get
Your organization's advisors should come to the meetings and speak up about things they feel are important, so let them have their say too. They're a big part of the reason you have the club. Plus, they can offer guidance when it's needed.
Be sure to talk to our VP Kara if you want to help out with the table.
Yes, I'll be glad to take everyone's input.
Another point here, it is important to make sure that you include all of your executive board members in the meetings. Even though you're the president, you don't have to do everything.
All right, so that's a really good point. You want to make sure that not only you're giving the opportunity for your executive members to speak, that they're prepared to speak too, that you don't want to catch them off guard, right? Tell them in advance we'll be talking about whatever topic it is, and the advisors. And it's funny because I've seen student councils run a number of different ways where the advisor says very little and to where the advisor runs the show. And really, the purpose of Leadership Training Conference is for you to gain that knowledge so that if you do have an advisor that kind of takes over all the time and runs everything, it's now the opportunity for you to step up and say, you know, let's move on, let's get this together where, you know, the president is actually running it, you know, and work from there.
Of course, this goes for everyone in your organization because they are taking the time to participate. Respect for all members is a must. As the person running the meetings, you are the person they are relying on to distribute input equally.
Angie?
I think that maybe if we did a bake sale, we might get more people interested than.
Really? Because I feel if we had a bake sale, it would just make us look like a joke at Campus Life Night. Not 5th grade people.
Buddy, can't you just be quiet for once?
Buddy here is an opinionated guy. He likes to let everyone know what he thinks about the topic at hand, and everyone involved. Jean is a much quieter member. That doesn't mean that her opinions aren't important. This is where our next guideline comes in.
All right, what do you think the next guideline is going to be?
Every voice counts.
Every voice counts. You know, do you know or have you experienced a quiet Gene in your council meetings before? Or the buddy who's kind of a real outspoken individual who kind of dominates the meeting? So think about that too. As presidents or as an executive member, you want to make sure that everyone is heard, all right? You want to make sure that you're drawing information and everyone has enough, has an even playing field that they can contribute. And you don't want someone dominating the meeting, all right? Okay, let's see what came
Number
up
5,
next.
loose lips sink ships.
Talking out of turn can create chaos. You need control and you need to exercise it. Otherwise, the General Assembly will take control for you. Let's see how the President handles this one.
This is definitely something we need to decide, but it will only happen if we allow everyone their chance to speak. Since we're running out of time at this meeting, why don't we set up a separate night with Kara to plan campus night?
Now, this doesn't give you license to be a dictator, but it does make sure that you keep everyone feeling safe enough to contribute while still keeping the input appropriate with the setting.
Okay, so some thoughts on the video. What did you think? Is that
Number 1, your organization, your meeting. Remember this? Don't forget that meetings should be catered to your organization to avoid these kinds of scenes. Number 2, always have an agenda. Meetings need structure, and agendas are the perfect way to help make sure this happens. Number 3, advisors are important. Your advisor is a valued member of the organization, and their input should be valued. Number 4, all members are created equal. All members are important, and it is your job to make sure they know that. Number 5, loose lips sink ships. Handling outbursts and rowdy GA members is a part of your job. Don't be afraid to keep them in line, but remember to be fair. Number 6, be the leader. Being a leader is necessary and important for maintaining order in meetings.
Remember, these guidelines are just that, guides for how to run a meeting. It's up to you to make sure that your meetings are as fun, interesting, formal, and useful as possible. Good luck.
okay? All right, so I want you to think about a time that you had to offer something and think about how you would offer that. This is ad-libbing right now because I wasn't ready for this one. Tips for speaking at your meeting. Using I statements. All right. How would you handle that scene in the movie, in the video clip, when that buddy spoke out? If you were being the president, using the I statements. Yes, go ahead, Raj.
Probably by just letting them know that you feel, so saying like, I feel that everyone has not had the opportunity to express their feelings about whatever, so I want to give everyone the opportunity now.
Okay, all right. What I'd like you to do now is turn to a shoulder partner, and I'd like you to practice that, just as Raj did, okay? You know that there's some people that have something to contribute, but they're just kind of holding back. What can you say to get them to contribute?
Okay, so I feel that when one person, or like when, I have to change this a little, I feel that when one person talks only, not everyone gets to share their opinion, and it really, and then it reduces the diversity of ideas that we could generate.
Okay. How about the positive, like focusing on what you want to happen? All right, so let's have an I feel statement, or what message do you want to send your council to gain more information from your council members?
So I would say I want to get as many ideas as possible so we have a nice pool to choose from. So that way we're encouraging them to give that all their activities.
Right, so you're kind of swaying away from the negative and you're going towards the positive. And really that's what you want to focus more on the positive. What do you want to happen? I remember I was at a professional development exercise, they were talking about a coach and the difference, it was a football coach, and he was talking about holding the football and telling the players, don't drop the football, don't drop the football, don't drop the football. Or do you say, hold on to the football, hold on to the football, hold on to the football. So you want to be sending the positive and emphasizing what you want them to do, not so much what you don't want them to do, okay? All right.
And that's about it.
All right. So at this time, do you have any questions or thoughts on meetings with success? No? You're ready to go with it? I know that we didn't talk a lot about parliamentary procedure, but we do have the agenda in the handbook, and really what we were doing was managing a meeting. You know, how do you manage it well, and you have everyone, give everyone opportunity to speak. And if you go through your handbook, you'll see many different exercises and situations where you may have to use the parliamentary procedure. But really, if you are conducting your agenda and your meetings in a business-like fashion, then all will fall into place, all right? Okay, so this was how to run a meeting. At the, in your handbook, you have your evaluation. I'm going to ask you to fill it out, blah, 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 blah.